You can't like and want to create jobs if you don't like the job creators. This president at every turn says it's the rich. If just the rich, if we just get it, they're taking too much, they're making too much money, and they don't pay their fair share. Well, one thing, that's just sort of antithetical to the American dream. I mean, the American dream is that any among us could become successful. That many of us came from nothing. Bill Gates' mom was a school teacher. Okay? Our president is a product of the American dream. The American dream is open to all, and it's not a good idea to say, oh, you have 3 cars and I've only got 1. That kind of sort of politics of envy, this emotion of envy, is just not good for anybody. But if you also just get down to the facts of are the rich paying their fair share, it's a lie to say they're not. The income tax, the top 1% of wage earners earn 20% of the income. That's a lot of money, but they pay 38% of the income tax. The top 10% of wage earners earn half of the income. Once again, a lot of money, but they pay 70% of the income tax. When the Bush tax cuts came through, 47% of the people, almost half of the public, doesn't pay income tax anymore. That means the tax code after the Bush tax cuts became more progressive. The middle class and the rich are bearing more of the burden. They're bearing all of the burden of income tax. That doesn't mean that those that aren't paying income tax aren't paying taxes. They are. They're paying payroll taxes. So the president says, well, let's cut payroll taxes. It sounds good, and I'd like you to have more of your money, but has everybody forgotten that Social Security is short of money?
Yeah.
That's what funds the Social Security system, is the payroll tax. So we ought to have somebody on TV saying, I thought he was for senior citizens. He's cutting off the funding for the senior citizens. But nobody thinks it through that much. Oh, no, it's just Republicans don't like old people. Democrats love old people. But he's cutting off the funding. Social Security is already $6 trillion in the hole. Medicare is $37 to $40 trillion in the hole. Is that anybody's fault? No, it's not Republicans' fault. It's not Democrats' fault. It's not one person's fault. The reason the entitlement programs are short of money is because we're living longer and there's less workers per retiree. When Social Security started, there was about 50 workers to 1 retiree. We had surpluses for 40 or 50 years. Of course, we didn't really save those. We spent them on other things. Social Security depends on the next generation to pay the taxes, or the current generation to pay the taxes. There's just not enough workers now. There's a much smaller population. The big population that was born after World War II is retiring. Entitlements will have to be reformed. Now, the good news is if you did the right thing, if you reformed entitlements and fixed them, that really hurt those that are retired, because everybody realizes it's difficult to change the rules for those who are retired. But if you do it on the next generation, my friends, and my family, as we go forward, if you reform it on us, which means we will get less benefits, we're going to have to wait longer to get them. If you do that, think of how the world would respond. Think of how investors would respond if we told them tomorrow America's going to balance its budget, America's going to make its entitlement program solvent again, and you can do it. We've introduced a Social Security bill that gradually lets the age go to 70. You say, well, I don't want to wait until I'm 70. If you don't, it's not going to be there for anyone. But you do it gradually. Someone born in 1970, will be 70 in the year 2030. That's when the age will gradually get there. So for a lot of us, it will have nothing to do with us, but it does fix the system. It would send confidence to investors around the world, and then we would begin to thrive again as an economy if we have more confidence and can invest. And the debt is a problem. I tell people the debt has a face. Economists are saying that the debt burden that we carry is causing 1 million people to be out of work. The other thing it does is it causes your prices to rise. The most common letter to the editor of the Bowling Green Daily News is, I'm angry about the price of my gas. It's okay to be angry, but figure out why your prices are going up. Your prices go up because the value of your dollar is shrinking. The value of your dollar shrinks because they're printing up new money to pay for your debt. If you didn't have a massive debt, didn't have to print up all these dollars, you wouldn't be losing that. And guess who gets hurt worse? Who gets hurt worse when they go to the pump and pay $3.60 versus $1.80 a year ago? If you're poor, or if you're on fixed income, or you're a senior citizen. Those are all the people the Democrats seem to be getting from us. If we can get smart on how we present our message, We need to be telling the people that the Democrats have been winning for years that they need to be on our side because the debt is killing those on fixed income. And that's where your high prices are coming from. And we did have that big battle over the debt ceiling. Everybody said there was going to be some sort of Armageddon. But you may not have heard this in the newspaper, but we actually told the president, we had a piece of legislation that by law, you have to pay the Social Security checks. We also told the president by law you should and must pay the soldiers' salaries. We also told the president by law you should pay the interest on the debt. The Democrats all voted against that law, which would have said to the president he had to do all of these things, and they played an elaborate game of chicken. They said, oh, we're going to default because of the Tea Party. We're going to default because conservatives don't want to give us what we want. The thing about compromise is it's both sides. He wanted $2 trillion more of debt. We actually did say we'd give it to him if we had a balanced budget amendment. But he didn't accept any of that. So the compromise, there was no compromise. He just gets what he wants. Same with the jobs program. They say, well, it sounds so reasonable what he wants. Well, that's his idea. Let's hear our ideas, and a compromise is somewhere meeting in the middle. We don't have enough people yet to transform our country or to regain our country and to get our country back. We won the House, and that's good. The good news is you will not get any new Dodd-Frank or Obamacare bills. They're not going to come because we control the House. The other good news I think about Obamacare is I think there's a 50% chance the Supreme Court will strike it down. If they do, we get a do-over, or what I call a do-over. We need to be prepared to present our ideas in a better way. There were problems with health care. We need to present our ideas on how we would fix it. To me, it's two different directions. The president and the Democrats thought, well, let's let the government take it over because capitalism has failed. My point of view is that health care wasn't working because there wasn't enough capitalism. There wasn't enough competition. If we get more competition, we can bring prices down, but we have to be in favor of an economic system that works. It works in the grocery store. It works when you buy electronics. It works when you buy clothes. Your economic system works. We need to get more of that capitalism in healthcare, and I think we can succeed. We may get a do-over on that, and I think there's a good chance it gets struck down. As far as where we go from here, we need more and better reinforcements. We need new people in Washington. We have 87 new freshmen in the House. They're some of the best people over there. I've gotten to know quite a few of them. We're actually working with them on proposals. As far as can we survive this administration? I don't know if we can survive a second dose of this administration, but I think we can get through another year or two. The thing about it is, what's great about our country is that we were founded on individual liberty. We were founded on this freedom to exchange with our neighbors products that they wanted to sell us. And it's an amazing resilient system, amazingly resilient system. Capitalism in America has created more wealth and more charity than any other civilization ever. So if you're a humanitarian, you want to help your fellow neighbor, you want to help the poor, you need to be in favor of American capitalism, in favor of the American dream. But it is resilient, and I think it can pull us through. But we're getting closer and closer to a tipping point where government's going to become so big and so many people will be receiving and so few will be working that there will come a tipping point when everybody says, I'll just want to vote more for myself. Then they'll be rioting in the streets if they don't get their checks. Look at what happened in London. Look at what happened in France. Look at what happens in Greece. They have such a huge welfare state that when people don't get what they want, they riot. We can survive this, we can move forward, but we have to believe in ourselves again, we have to believe in our founding documents, we have to believe in what made America great again, and I think we will thrive if we do that. Thank you very much.
If you could have a seat for just a minute, we've got something kind of special for you coming up with a broker on the book that he's written. I want to tell you that It is so refreshing to hear someone stand up and tell you how it really is. It gets so frustrating to listen to the news and to listen to Washington and to listen to the bull that comes out of Washington. And I too share what Mike has talked about. I get emails weekly. That's where I look for the real truth. And when Senator Paul sends me an email, then I know what really is going on with our government and what's really transpiring. You know, he's just a fantastic person. He's a wonderful senator. I'm going to tell you one other story about Senator Ray Paul. I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning this. You know, what makes people great is several things. And one of those is their ability to go to a very hostile environment and maintain their values, maintain their beliefs, and stand up for the American people. And he has done that. The other thing that really makes people great comes from the heart and family. I know that there was a time where Senator Paul was, I believe, in a meeting somewhere. And it was an all-day meeting. It was like 7 o'clock in the morning, maybe until 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And this meeting continued and continued and continued. And I believe Senator Paul at one point, when it was later in the afternoon, finally stood up and said, "You know, I appreciate the meeting. I've got to go. My son's playing ball tonight."